So first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome to the first lecture of the new year, 2021. Yeah, Happy New Year. And this lecture is on spreadsheets. So let me get started with the presentation. So in this lecture, we are going to be talking about spreadsheets and spreadsheet applications. So spreadsheets are one of my favorite applications, tools for doing a lot of different things. In fact, whatever spreadsheet was designed for originally was for numbers and calculations and stuff. But today spreadsheets are useful for a lot more things, and I use it very extensively. It's one of my favorite tools. So for today, from what you're seeing on the presentation here, we've already covered 6 different topics, 6 different lectures, and this is the 7th lecture in the series. And the topic is spreadsheets, and the applications in particular are Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, and then LibreOffice, and also OpenOffice. If you attend this lecture, or if you watch the video recording that we post later on YouTube, if you watch it fully and try to understand the lecture, you should be able to understand what do we mean by tables, what do we mean by spreadsheet applications, what do we mean by spreadsheets themselves, right? What is the structure of a spreadsheet document? In the last lecture, we talked about a structure of a word processing document. And spreadsheet is also a formatted document, and it is a special formatted document. And what kind of structure does it have? Then within spreadsheets, you can have different kinds of data, right? Data is, for example, if you write text, that is data. If you write numbers, that is also data. If you write dates, for example, today's date, right? January 4th, 2021, that is also a data type. Then if you say $20, that is a data type. If you say 5,000 rupees, that is also a data type. So how do you use data in a spreadsheet? You will be able to understand. My apologies. I think some of the old questions have come over, and I forgot to delete them. As usual, you're going to have quiz time at the end. And in this class, as I give the lecture, you will come across a few new words, and the Tamil translations for those words are here. Dharani, do you want to take a shot at the words and just say the word and say the Tamil translation, no need for examples?
Okay, sir. Shall I, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Spreadsheet, விரித்தாள், rows, வரிசைகள், columns, நெடுவரிசைகள், sheets, தாள்கள், chart, விளக்கப்படம், geometric shape, வடிவியல் வடிவம், formula, சூத்திரம், diagram, வரைபடம், macro, sort, வகைப்படுத்து, filter, வடிகட்டி, comparative, ஒப்பீட்டு, organization, அமைப்பு, business, வணிக, tax, வரி, database, தரவு தளம், computation, கணக்கீடு.
Thank you so much, Dharani. And for today's lecture, Dharani is going to lead the quiz time. And Dharani, thank you so much for stepping up. So now, first thing, tables. Spreadsheets are all about tables. You have to understand what we mean by tables. And in India, when in most places, right? Some pop-up window popped up, and I lost my context here, and I hope everything is back to normal. So you all know what a table, the kind of table you use for your TV, for your desk, for your computer. That's like a furniture, right? Then when you study in primary school, you have tables. 1 times 10, 1 ones are 2, 1 twos are 2, sorry, 1 ones are 1, 1 twos are 2, that kind of tables. This is a different kind of table. So this table, what you see here are basically, think of it as a square, we also call it matrix in mathematics. All it has is basically a table has some number of rows and it has some number of columns. So in the left diagram here, for example, you see the row that is in blue. The entire, all the square boxes that are horizontally lined up, that entire thing is called a row. And then the second table in the middle shows you basically what we mean by a column. A column is the entire green set of boxes. Everybody go on mute, please. The entire the column of these boxes that are vertical, that whole thing is called a column. Okay, so now a table is nothing but it has some number of columns and some number of rows. So we always say it is like, for example, the table on the left, it has 3 rows. Okay, the first one with the pink cell there, and then the second row and the third blue row. So 3 rows, and then you can see there are 4 columns there. So that table is 3 rows by 4 columns. The table in the middle has 4 rows and 3 columns, just to show you a difference. And then each box in a table, we call that a cell, C-E-L-L. That cell is actually one individual unit in a table. In that unit, you can actually place data. So that is the cell where all your data goes. So now you're seeing the third table is an example of how you use tables, right? This is a table of people. Ram and John are example names here. And we have, it's a table of people with their names, their age, the city they live in, and the country they live in, right? So this is one way to use tables. Tables can be used to capture information. And you can have like a titled row on top. The titled row on top says what each column is for. For example, the first column with Ram and John, that is the title of that column is name. The second column, which gives the ages 15 years and 16 years, that the title of that column is age. The third one, the title is city, and the fourth one, the title is country. So almost always when you use tables in spreadsheets, you will have a titled row, a row of titles for each columns at the top. It is called the header row. Header because it is at the head of the table. Okay. So now you can see that for this table here, we have used 3 rows and 4 columns. In the 3 rows, the name row is a header row, and then the row where Ram is there is all information about Ram, and the row where John is there, it's all information about John. And then the 4 columns are the name column, the age column, city column, and then the country column. And the information in each cell, the cell where Ram is in gives Ram's name, that is data. The cell where his age 15 is in, that is also data. So in each cell, we place data. So spreadsheets are essentially nothing but a use of a tool, an application, a software to work with tables. Okay, so spreadsheets are table-based documents. The entire document will have 1 or more tables. It will have basically lots and lots of cells, and I will show you during the demonstration section how you use it. So you may not use all the cells in a spreadsheet. You may only use, say, only the rows and only the columns that you need for your specific purpose. Okay, and you can use spreadsheet applications to create, modify, and view spreadsheets, just like you use word processing documents to applications to actually create, modify, and update word processing documents. And the example applications for spreadsheets are Microsoft Excel, which is the most popular one. Popular, but you don't get it for free. You have to pay. You either pay for installation of the software once, or you pay a subscription fee to get it over like as an internet application, and then the subscription is per month or per year. Now, Google Sheets. Google Sheets is from Google. It is an internet application. And in previous lectures, we saw what is the difference between an internet application and a computer application that runs on your local computer or local mobile phone. Google Sheets is an internet application, and but Google Sheets I've seen in the last few weeks, they also have an app on mobile phones. And with the app, you can create local spreadsheets on your mobile phone. So which means they do support, it is not just an internet application, but it also gives you some capability to create spreadsheets in your own mobile phone. So it also works locally. Then there are other open and free software applications, OpenOffice and LibreOffice. We got introduced to those in the last lecture, and they're available for free. If you have a computer, you can always download them from the web. Then another free software, I think, in the Android space is WPS Office. So moving on, spreadsheets have structure. In fact, they also have a lot of structure, just like word processing documents. We already saw what a cell is, what a row is, what a column is, what table is, and what data inside a cell is. Okay. Now, spreadsheets basically can have one or more sheets. Just like in a word processing document, you have pages, right? You have the first page, you have the second page, you have the third page. In spreadsheets, think of a sheet as a page. So each sheet has one or more tables, and then you can have multiple sheets. And then for each sheet, you can give a name. For example, we will look at example sheet names and how to name them later during the demonstration. But the default, when you open a spreadsheet and you start entering information, you create sheets, add sheets, they get default names like sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and so on. And one thing I forgot to mention, Mac computers made by Apple, the company Apple, they have a software application for called Numbers. And the Numbers application is actually a spreadsheet application. And then a spreadsheet creates a spreadsheet document with an extension. The extension may be .xls, which is an old format, or .xlsx, which is a new format. Or in the case of LibreOffice and OpenOffice, they may use .ods, which is their own format. And remember that .xls and .xlsx, those formats are viewable on all spreadsheet applications. It is universal. But .ods may work only in LibreOffice, OpenOffice, and Google Sheets, and it may not work in Microsoft Excel or Numbers. Now, what is a chart? A chart, we briefly looked at it in the last lecture. It is nothing but a graphical diagram, and I will show you examples of graphical diagrams. You can have, based on the numbers and the data you have, you can create graphical diagrams in spreadsheets. Some spreadsheets allow you to have separate text boxes. And then you can also add geometric shapes in some spreadsheet applications. For this lecture, it is going to be a little different from previous lectures. We are not going to spend a whole lot of time in the presentation, but instead we will spend a lot more time in the demonstration part, where I'll actually take you to Google Sheets and show you a lot of things. Okay, so this part we will move on a little faster, but all of these will repeat in the demonstration section. So now you know within the cell which is the smallest box in a table and in a spreadsheet, you can add any different kinds of data types, right? So you can type your name, which is text. Text is anything alphabetic. You can also have numbers, and numbers can be different types. You can have numbers like 1 crore or 10 million, which is, for example, you would use for populations, or you can use numbers like rupees and American dollars with appropriate rupee symbols and dollar symbols. That is currency. And then you can use quantity. For example, if you're representing different grocery items, right? Things that you buy in a store, provision store. It could be rice, it could be sugar. You can represent quantity like 5 bags, right? 5 bags of rice, 25 bags of sugar. Then the other data types which are useful if you are doing a project inside a spreadsheet. Projects will have start dates, they'll have end dates, they'll have other dates in between. So you can have dates as a data type. Then you can actually have a mathematical formula. There can be very simple arithmetic formula like a summation, right? How do you add numbers? How do you add like 10 numbers? How do you add the numbers in 10 cells? How do you add the numbers in 100 cells, right? So having a formula to do that kind of summation, you can do division, you can do any arithmetic thing. Then they also have scientific computation formulas that are allowed. You can compute cosine, sine, tangent. If you have angles, you can compute statistical probabilities. You can do mean, standard deviation. So all of those formulas are possible. And then there's a particular thing called a macro. Macro is like a short form function to do multiple things. Microsoft introduced macros in Microsoft Office, both in Word and spreadsheets. And so many spreadsheet applications do support it. For our extent of knowledge here and how we might use spreadsheets, we don't need to know macros, but you can just know that they exist. If someday you encounter it, you can study how to use it on the internet. Now you know how to capture data in cells in a table, in a spreadsheet. Now, how do you use the data, right? You can use the data inside a spreadsheet, you can modify it, you can do a lot of different things. So how do you use the data? The data that you use is to represent some kind of information, and when you create a spreadsheet, you're almost always creating it for yourself. So you can look at it and you can maybe do some planning, or you are sharing it with somebody else because it is a plan of a common shared project, or it is a common shared activity at school or college or your office. Then you use data to do computation, all right? We talked about how to use formulas. So for example, an office that does accounts, right? How much money was spent in the office? So the accounts, how many transactions were done? How many payments were made to people? How much money was received from people? All of those accounts you can capture, and you can do computations. Computation meaning you can do additions, you can find out totals, you can find out how much was the total for January, for February, for the whole year. You can do all of those. We also talked about scientific computation. You can do a lot of scientific computation today, a lot of research data, right? When people do their PhD or people do research, they can be building missiles. They could be studying how COVID actually spreads in a city. They can be capturing a lot of data. All that data you can capture in a spreadsheet. And once you capture in a spreadsheet, you can produce very nice graphs, charts, to actually make presentations to people. So we talked about the comparative graphical view. The charts, you can have different kinds, pie charts, histograms. I will show you pie charts and histograms in the demonstration. We talked about macros already. The other thing is sorting. What exactly is sorting? When you look at a dictionary, right, it always starts with the letter A, and all words that start with the letter Z or the letter Z. Z is what we say in the US for Z. All the words that start with the letter Z or Z, they're at the end. So what that means is the dictionary has an alphabetical order. All the words are sorted in alphabetical order. It is also called lexicographic order. Okay, so sorting is nothing but creating some kind of ordering in the information. You can sort it based on numbers. You can sort it based on alphabetical order. You can sort it based on dates. For example, you can sort by saying January 1st should be the first and December 31st should be the last, right? Then there is something else called filtering in spreadsheets. You can actually, if you have a lot of information in a particular table, you let's say you have different departments and your all information is captured by department, and your department is, let's say, the income tax department, and another department is the revenue department. Then if you're making a presentation to the income tax department, you want to show only the income tax information, then you can do what is called as filtering. You filter out everything else and you show only income tax department data. That kind of filtering is possible in spreadsheets, and I'll show you how. So this is like a summary of spreadsheets. Before we get into quiz time, we are going to spend a lot more time on the practical demonstration part. So that way you can jump right into using spreadsheets. I encourage all of you to start using spreadsheets. Because you can use it, and I'll show you how you can use it for your tuition plan, for your study plan. And that's the best way to start understanding how to use spreadsheets. Once you start using it, you will love it because it is a very, very good planning tool. Today, many of you are probably not trained in planning, but once you get a little bit of ideas about how to do planning and you have a tool like spreadsheet, you can actually start planning projects. You can plan activities in the future. You can do career planning. You can do all sorts of planning, and a spreadsheet is a fantastic tool. So in businesses, spreadsheets are used for, like I said, for research. It can be used for finance, how to capture cash flow, how to capture tax payments. It can be used for, I talked about study planning. In our organization, HUM, we use spreadsheets to capture all transactions of donations made, transactions of payments made, humanitarian aid that was given, and then different education projects we've done, the costing of the projects, everything we capture in spreadsheets today. We don't use software. You can always write software or use software that was already created to capture accounts and taxes and everything. There is software for those things, but if you cannot afford those software, spreadsheets are the simplest, easiest, and cheapest, the most free software that you can do a lot of things with. And today, a lot of small businesses that cannot afford very expensive software in India or anywhere, right? Tax software. They will use spreadsheets to capture a lot of account data, including taxes that they owe to the government. And if you understand spreadsheets, how to actually capture data in tables, how to organize information in tables, then it is not too difficult for you to understand how database applications work. That is the next step. I talked about database applications very briefly about 3-4 lectures ago. But the day you understand application spreadsheets well, it is not too difficult to understand databases. All right, now we are on to quiz time. Dharani, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, Dharani, take it away. You are the leader for this session. And Dharani, like always, read the English question, read out the Tamil translation, ask people, give people time to answer the question. If nobody answers, then I will answer it. Once somebody answers the question, you have to repeat the answer and move on to the next question.
Okay, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome all. Good evening, all. Welcome to the quiz session. And the first question is, what are tables? அட்டவணைகள் என்றால் என்ன?
Fixed number of rows and fixed number of columns.
Very good. Good answer. A table has basically, it has some number of rows and some number of columns. It has a minimum of one row. Actually, one row is kind of hard, but 2 rows is better. And a minimum of 1 or 2 rows, 1 or 2 columns. And maximum, it can have anything because spreadsheets can hold 1,000 columns, 1,000 rows or more. Go on, Dharani.
Next question. What are spreadsheets? விரித்தாள்கள் என்றால் என்ன? Yes, spreadsheets is a table with many rows and columns.
Not a bad answer, but the correct answer is a spreadsheet is a table-based document. Okay, a document which lets you use tables any way you like. And tables have rows and columns. So it's a document for creating tables and working with tables as a way to capture information.
So next.
Yes.
Third question. Where are spreadsheets used? விரித்தாள்கள் எங்கே பயன்படுத்தப்படுகின்றன?
In business and administrative offices.
Very good. Today, spreadsheets are used almost everywhere.
Study plan.
In the correct. Even students can use it for study plans. I use it for our HUM organization. We are like an NGO. Then I have another company called Karmicare. It is a senior care service company. And when we started it, we used only spreadsheets to capture accounts, all transactions. So small businesses, big businesses, the biggest of big businesses, spreadsheet is a tool which you can use immediately to do something. It can be used in governments, schools, colleges, research, almost anywhere. It is one of the best tools ever invented. So I strongly urge everybody to learn how to use spreadsheets. Good answer. Next question.
What are some example spreadsheet applications? சில உதாரண விரித்தாள் பயன்பாடுகள் யாவை? MS Excel, Google Sheets,
LibreOffice, VPS Office.
Very good. All are excellent examples, and some of them have apps on mobile phones. Google Sheets has apps. WPS has apps. Maybe LibreOffice has apps. I'm not very sure. And then Google Sheets is free. LibreOffice is free. OpenOffice is free. Most likely WS is free. So as long as you don't have to pay for this software, just use it. Next question.
What is the best document type to organize and or analyze lot of information? நிறைய தகவல்களை ஒழுங்கமைக்க மற்றும் அல்லது பகுப்பாய்வு செய்ய சிறந்த ஆவண வகை எது?
Spreadsheet application.
Absolutely. So my favorite tool to organize information is spreadsheets. See, one of the biggest challenges with information on the World Wide Web and in research, right? You will see so much information. The best way to tackle all of that information is to figure out a way to organize it and capture it in a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet is the best tool available to organize information very fast. You can always use databases, but databases are complicated and you need to know how to use it. So it is far easier to use a spreadsheet. Next question.
What is the difference between a word processing document and a spreadsheet document? சொல் செயலாக்க ஆவணத்திற்கும் விரித்தாள் ஆவணத்திற்கும் என்ன வித்தியாசம்?
In a word processing, like you normally concentrate on one particular topic, whereas in a spreadsheet, you can mention and you can write a lot about many products, many items as such.
Not fully accurate. You can have different topics even in spreadsheets. You can capture information. See, you can have tables in spreadsheets. You can have tables in Word documents also, right? The word processing and Word documents are best for a lot of writing, right? Writing, for example, you can write a textbook in a word processing software, but writing a textbook in a spreadsheet does not make sense, right? Because you're writing a lot of text. You don't need tables, you don't need boxes, right? Now the thing about spreadsheet is you can have tables in word processing and you can have tables in spreadsheet. But in the spreadsheet, you can actually do some magic on the information in the tables. You can do summation, you can do computation, you can do charts, graphical diagrams based on the content in the table. That kind of power you don't get in a table in the word processing document. So the spreadsheet's biggest advantage is the power of doing a lot of sophisticated things like computation, the graphical charting, right? Mathematical computation, research calculation, statistical computation. You can do with the content in a table, which you cannot do in word processing document. Word processing document lets you create a table, but inside the table you cannot do computation. Okay, very good. So with that, Dharani, thank you so much for leading quiz time today. A big round of applause for Dharani. Appreciate your stepping up.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
sir.
now go to the demonstration section. Okay. Okay, can you all see the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a spreadsheet that was created in using Google Sheets. Okay, Google Sheets you can use by installing the Google Sheets app on your mobile phone, or if you're on a laptop, or if you're on a desktop computer, you can use your web browser. It can be Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, or Firefox, and go to sheets.google.com. Once you go to sheets.google.com, you have to register with your Gmail ID. Actually, you have to log in. Once you log in using your Gmail ID, then sheets.google.com will give you the opportunity to create spreadsheets. For example, the one view here is, this is the home view for Google, sheets.google.com. So if you click on this plus sign here, you're creating a blank spreadsheet. Then there are templates. We talked about templates in word processing also. For spreadsheets also, you can have start off with a template. A template for spreadsheets are very, very specific. For example, one template you see here is the monthly budget. Another template is the annual budget, right? Only if you're doing a budget, then you use the template. If you're doing a study plan, that budget template is not going to be useful for you, okay? So you will not find templates for everything here. If you're doing a study plan, the template will not be there, right? So the flexibility and power of spreadsheets is so much, you can use it for almost anything. So which is why you may or may not find the kind of template you're seeking. So I'm showing you one study plan template or a tuition plan template today, which I created for you. So now I have created this spreadsheet called Spreadsheet Literacy, and I'm going to go click on it, and I will be inside that spreadsheet. I'm in the spreadsheet, and you all should be able to see the spreadsheet. Now, when you're creating a spreadsheet, the way to change the name of the spreadsheet is the top left corner here. What I've highlighted in blue, I have named the file as Spreadsheet Literacy. You can give it any name you want, right? If it is your study plan for 2020-2021, call it Study Plan 2021. If it is your study plan for let's say March 2021, you can call it March 2021. Or if you want to give it your name, Monica Study Plan 2021, that is also fine. So that's how you name it. Google Sheets by default saves your document automatically. But if you are in other applications like my Excel, LibreOffice, and OpenOffice, you have to go to the File menu. And in the File menu, there will be a Save option. Save it, don't lose your data. So in this spreadsheet, in the bottom corner, you see many sheets. The first sheet is called Basic. I have named it Basics. It was, by default, it was called Sheet 1. If I click on this over here at the bottom, if I double click on that name of the sheet, it'll let me change the name. For example, I can change it to call it Basic, right? Or I can call it Basics. So that's the way to change the name of a sheet. The next sheet is called Tables and Charts. If I click on it, we go to that sheet. And remember, a sheet is like a page, right? And then if I click on the next sheet, I called it, the sheet was called Data, and I see a lot of tables here. If I click on the next sheet, I call it Study Time Estimation. Then if I click on the next one, it goes to Study Plan. So now you can see you have multiple sheets. Whenever you start a new spreadsheet, the spreadsheet application will give you one sheet to start off, or maybe two sheets to start off. You can always insert more sheets by clicking on the Insert menu option on top. And then at the bottom, there's the New Sheet option. So you can insert a new sheet. Okay. So now you know how to insert a new sheet, and now I'll teach you the basics again. What you see here at the top, all in purple, that entire set of boxes, it is row 1. rows are numbered. Okay, rows have numbers. Row 1, row 2, row 3. The numbers are 1, 2, 3 onwards, and it can go on and on till 65,000 or whatever, right? And then columns have letters. Okay, letters starting with A. So it goes on from A to Z or Z, and after Z, it will become AA, AB, AC, and so on, like two letters at a time. Then after you finish ZZ or ZZ, then it may become AAA. It is very rarely the case that you will use that many columns, but if you want to use it, is always there. Now, something that I will tell you, but if you remember it, it is good. There is a particular format for spreadsheets called .csv. Okay. So .csv format for spreadsheets is used to actually share spreadsheet information with databases and other spreadsheet applications. Databases allow you to capture tables, and they will allow you to export tables in the form of .csv files that you can then import into spreadsheets. So .csv is a format which, if you do remember, it's a good thing. If you don't remember also, it's okay, not a bad thing. So now row 1, that is the purple line out there. Then I have colored column I. See, columns are the things that go top to bottom, and columns have letters, right? So they go from letters A onwards, and all I've done is show colored column I, so you know what a column is, and I've colored column row 1, so you know what it is. How do I color something? For example, I want to color this section here. I mark it off, and there's a paint sign here. It says fill color. I click on it, and then I can pick any color I want, and that's how I color my boxes. Okay, so I've colored boxes here. Now we talked about a cell being one box. The smallest unit in a unit is a box, text box, or a cell or a box in a spreadsheet. So this cell here, which is colored blue, that cell is actually cell B2, column B, row 2, right? So that cell has a particular location. That location is column B and row 2. That is why it is called cell B2. Now look at the other cell that I've colored pink, right? And you can see that it belongs to row 4, and then you can see it belongs to column C. That is why it is cell C4. C for column and 4 for row. Cell C4. So cells have location information. The location is row and column. Now each sheet also has a name, right? Sheet 1. So you can actually use the sheet and the row and the column to actually use data from one sheet and use it in another sheet. So that gives you a way to, in software and computer science, we call it addressing. A cell has a way of addressing, just like you have a name. Monica is a name, and people can address you as Monica. A cell has an addressing model. The addressing model is column number and column name and column letter and row number. So cell C4. But if before C4, if I put the name of the sheet, then within the spreadsheet, I can use that cell information anywhere by using that reference. Okay. So we will not worry about that too much right now. The other is when you type text in any cell box. Let's say if you want to type text, you have to double click on the cell. Once you double click, you can type text here. Type text here. And if I do not use text wrapping, the text will go from one cell to another cell. This text here belongs to this cell, but it is overflowing into other cells. Okay. So I show an example here with the orange cell here, cell B7, column B, and row 7, cell B7. the text, I have not done any wrapping. Wrapping means folding it downwards into the box, text box. If I don't wrap it, it will go on to the next cell. But it is only editable in this cell, okay? So in order to wrap it and make it go fully into the same thing, I go to the format menu option, then go all the way down to text wrapping. Then it's right now it is set to overflow mode. Overflow means it overflows from one cell to the other. We don't want overflow, we want to say wrap. When you say wrap, then you can see what happened to it. The entire text stays in one box. It does not overflow into the other box. So when you are using spreadsheets, I almost always recommend that you do wrapping for all the cells. So because that's the most common way to use it. Only when you're doing some titles and comments on top of tables that you may not do wrapping, but by default, wrapping is good. So now we are going to go back and unwrap it, go back to the same thing and set it to overflow, then it will start not wrap. Now this cell here, row 9, column B, we have done wrapping of the text. So you can see the entire text fits there. So these are the basics of a spreadsheet. You have to know what a table is, you have to know a row, you have to know columns, you have to know cells, and you have to know how we address cells. We address cells by the column letter and the row number. Now we go to the next sheet. In this sheet here, this table here, right, which says subject and number of days. It's a small table I've created in the spreadsheet. The whole spreadsheet itself looks like one very, very big table, right? But my information is small, so I'm going to, it's a limited amount of information, and all I need is 2 columns and in this case about 7 rows. Okay, so I'm going to use it this way. I've used the row 2 as the header row. Header means it has a title. For column D, the title is subject. For column E, the header row subject is number of days. And this is nothing but if I had the subject science, English, maths, social studies, and Tamil in my 10th grade or 11th grade, then the number of days is here is the number of days I need to study. I have to study science for 10 days. I have to study English for 7 days at least. I have to study maths for 11 days and so on and Tamil for 5 days. Now I can do a total, right? Total is the next row. I can do a total of these rows. And that's to do a total, you would use a formula. The formula used for the total, we use basically the equal symbol. And we use the mathematical function sum, S-U-M. And within, in the US, we call it this curved braces. We call them braces or parentheses. In India, you may call it brackets. Okay. So I'm going to show you, if I double click on 41 here, right? What you see is actually the formula, the mathematical arithmetic formula equals sum, and E3 means cell E3 to, for example, I can change what sum I do. I can change the sum from basically start with I want to include all of this. The way to do it is you click on one cell. Let me just go here and show you. You click on one cell and then drag it all the way down. Do you see in a row, column J? I'm showing you how to click and mark off multiple cells. So the way to click and mark off multiple cells is basically click on one, keep the mouse button down and drag your mouse cursor, and that way you're marking off multiple cells. So the way to actually do a summation here from cells E3 to E7, you basically click on E3 and then you hold the button down, you drag it all the way down to E7, and then you release and you press enter. Once you press enter, it will do the calculation automatically. 41 is the total when you add 10, 7, 11, 8, and 5. Okay, so what we have shown here so far is how do you create a table, small table on how to do your study planning for the subject science through Tamil based on how many days you take to study it. And we have shown you how to do the total summation for the number of days it takes to study all your subjects. And for that, we use the arithmetic formula sum. And I also showed you how to do the summation by marking off the cells E3 to E7. Okay, actually this data here is incorrect. I'm going to change it. It is E3 to E7. Now we go to how to create a chart, right? So I'm going to delete this chart so I can show you how to create it from scratch. I want to create a chart. I want to see, why do we use a chart? We use a chart to do comparison. We use a chart to do very quick. It is graphical. It is very quick comparison. You can also compare the data by looking at it and thinking, oh, maths takes the most amount of time, right? Because it takes 11 days. Oh, the next is science. It takes 10 days. But if I create a chart for you, you can see it very quickly, which one is the one that takes most time just by viewing. The way to do a chart is first you mark off the cells. And the way you do a cell marking off is you click on one cell and you drag the mouse cursor to wherever you want. So I click on science and I drag the mouse cursor all the way to the number 5. Now I have marked it off and I say I go to insert, and I want to create a chart. So it has created a chart for me. I can actually increase the size of this chart and I can move it down. The beauty of spreadsheets is it will let you move these floating objects. The chart is like a floating object. You can move it anywhere in the spreadsheet. You can move it here, you can move it here, you can move it here, and you can resize it. Now you can see in this chart, it is called a pie chart, right? It is a circle and it has automatically used the number of days, and it has also done a percentage calculation. Out of 41 days, it has figured out Tamil takes 12.2% of the time. It has figured out math takes 26.8% of the time. Science takes 24.4% of the time, right? And it has shown you in a neat way. The moment you look at this picture, you know maths and science take the most time, right? Because the yellow part in the circle is so big, the blue part in the circle is so big, you know immediately. So the impact of graphical charts is you can convey information graphically far faster. It is very good for presentations, okay? So now we have created one kind of chart. Now let's try to create another kind of chart, and I mark off again science through 5, and I do insert chart. Now it has done the same pie chart for me. I'm not very happy that it has done the same pie chart, but I'm going to double click on the chart. When I double click on the chart, it lets me actually pick the kind of style of chart I want. It says pie slice. I don't want to use pie slice. Pie chart style. Right. Let's go to setup. Oh, in setup, I can choose type of chart. I will choose histogram. Okay, this is called a histogram. And let me resize this, make it smaller. Now it is a different kind of chart to show the same information a slightly different way. So you can see here, the histogram has the number of days on the y-axis, okay? All of those who have studied geometry and algebra and maths will know y-axis and x-axis, you will know graphs. On the y-axis, you have the number of days, right? And on the x-axis, you have the subjects. So you can easily see the tallest one is maths, the next tall one is science, right? So this is another way to create the chart, and you can also edit what kind of chart it is. Any questions so far? Everybody find spreadsheets very interesting?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, very good.
Sir,
Now we move on to the data part, how to work on data, how to work on the information. We saw how to do graphical presentations with pie charts and programs. Now, don't worry about the tables at the bottom. Let's worry about only the tables on top with the blue header row. So now the first table here, it is names and ages of people: Ram, Gopal, Lakshman, Sita, Hanuman, Ashwin, and Ramakrishna, right? And they all have ages 10 years through 12 years, right? Now, what I want to do is, in this particular table here on the left side with the blue header row, the names are not sorted. The names are not in dictionary order. The names are not in alphabetical order. They're not in lexicographic order. So you can actually sort them. The way to sort it is basically you have to mark off both of these. The way you marked off the cells in the previous for the chart, remember, you click on one cell and you drag the mouse cursor to the entire square box. So we are going to start with Ram Gopal, double click, drag it all the way to Ram Krishna's age, which is 12. So we have marked row 3, column A and B, row 3 through row 8, and just columns A and B. Now we are going to go to the data option. This gives you us the option to actually do sorting, filtering. I'm going to click on sort range. I don't want to sort the whole sheet because I have multiple tables in the sheet. I want to sort only this table. So I'm going to say sort range for this table. Now it is asking me, do I want to sort by column A? Column A is the name, right? Name column. So I want to sort by the name column, which is column A. If I want, I can choose to sort by column B, which is ages, right? So we are going to actually do by name, which is column A, and I'm going to say go ahead and sort. And I want to do it from A to Z. Otherwise, I can do the opposite order from Z to A, right? So we are going to say A to Z, and we say sort. Once you do that, see what happened here. Ashwin, the name the name starts with the letter A. Ashwin moved to the top, and his age, 5 years age, was also moved to the top with him, because his age is tied to him, right? We want to keep the age together with the name of the person. We do not want Ashwin's age to be mixed up with Sita's age, right? That is why we do both the columns together, but we sort both together, but we say sort by column A. And now look, Sita is the oldest one. Oh, actually not Sita. Ramakrishna is the oldest one, but because we did dictionary order, R comes before S. So Ramakrishna and Ram Gopal are together because they start with R. Sita starts with S. Sita is at the end. So now I have shown you the table here in the middle, where it is sorted on column E, and the order is A through Z. Okay, so that is the second table that you see in the middle with the blue header. The third table that you see is the opposite order, which is the order Z through A, which means Sita comes on top because S comes later in the alphabet, and Ashwin goes to the bottom because we did the opposite order. So this particular example is to show you how to do sorting. Now the next example with the magenta colored header row, reddish colored magenta colored header row. This is a table on basically the number of students in different sections in school, right? And college. For school, I split it up into primary, middle school, and high school. For college, I split it up as BCom, BSc, BA. Let's just pretend primary has 100 students, high school has 200 students, and all the way up to BA has 350 students. This is just an example. And so there are 3 rows for schools and 3 rows for colleges, and the category column gives school as a category, and then gives college as a category, and then the subcategory is the primary, middle, BCom, BSc, BA. Now, let's say we will need to present this data to college principals, right? And we do not care about school data. We only care about college data, and we want to present to college principals. Now, the way to do it is we have to add a filter. The way to add a filter is you again go to, you select, this time since we want to add filter to the header row. So you start with the header row category, click on it, and you actually go all the way to the bottom where the number 350 is there. And then you go to data. Once you go to data, you click on filter views and you say, you create a filter. The moment you create a filter, you see a symbol here, okay? So there's a filter on category, there's a filter on subcategory, there's a filter on number of students. Normally you need a filter only on one column. Here I have done it on all 3, so don't worry about it. Now you want to filter, click on the filter. You see the menu here, the options. You now filter out school. So you actually remove the tick mark on school. You keep only college, and then you click OK. Now the rows belonging to school will disappear. It disappears. It does not mean it is you lost it or it is deleted. It is there. We can bring it back. We can actually go to the filter and you check on school again, and you come back here and you see school is still there, right? So it is only for filtering the view, the presentation that you're making at this point in time. You're not losing the data. So I filtered again, and we are back to having college. I want to present only this information to college principals or college teachers, and I don't care, they don't care about school data. So this is what I do. I use filters. So what I did, first I created a filter. Next, I used the filter to filter out school and just keep college, okay? So that's how to use filters. Now we go to a template for study planning and tuition planning. Now I'm showing you this because I want to encourage all of you to start using spreadsheet as a tool to do your study planning for your exams that may be in March or April or May, depending on when your government, schools, and education department organize it. So this is an example. The first sheet here for study planning is how to estimate time for each subject or each topic, right? Before I get to this, let me take you to another place. Go to some, I've gone back to a previous sheet, but I want to show you how to do merging of cells. Let's say I call this cell 1, I call this cell 2, I call this cell 3, right? If I want to merge cell 1 through cell 3, I first click on cell 1 and I drag the cursor all the way to cell 3. I want to merge this. So I go to format option and I go to merge cells option and I say merge all or merge vertically. Now it is telling me if when I merge their data, I will lose data from 2 of the cells. Only the top cell data will stay. Okay. So you saw that I merged these 3 cells here. I can color it differently. I can color it green here, right? So I'll show you another example here. I'll color this yellow. This one I'll color blue, and a third one I'll color pink. Now I'm going to merge the yellow cell, the blue cell, and the pink cell. I marked it off using my mouse. First click on one cell and drag. Hold the button down and drag till the last cell. Go to format, go to merge cells, and say merge all or merge vertically. So when I do the merge, I lose information from the bottom 2. I keep the information from only the top, which was the yellow. Okay. So now that you know how to merge, I'll go to the next sheet. Here, you can see the physics cell is so big, right? How did I get the physics cell to be so big? I did merges. I merged several cells like this, and I merged them. And after I merged, I colored it yellow, and I put physics in there. Okay. And you can also actually center this, center it in the middle. You can center it vertically, so that way it stays in the middle. You can do bold if you want. Okay. So what I've done here is these are all physics topics at the top. Physical world and measurement, kinematics, gravitation, these are all physics topics. Since they're all physics topics, I created the physics category, merged all those cells, they are lined up with these subcategories. Then I did the same thing for biology. Then I did the same thing for chemistry. Actually, my chemistry word has disappeared, so I'm going to enter it here. Okay. So I have shown you how to merge. I have shown you how to basically, you all take your physics lessons and put it down in the spreadsheet. Take your biology lessons, put it down in the spreadsheet. If you have Tamil, put all the lessons in there, take it down. The next thing you do is think about how many hours per day you can study. Let us say you can study 5 hours a day. This particular thing here, 5 hours a day. Right? And then take the first topic in physics or Tamil, English, whatever it is for you. If you can do it in 2 hours or 2.5 hours, then you mark it down as 0.5 days. 0.5 days means half of 5 hours per day, which is 2 to 2.5 hours. Okay. So something like I may take 0.75 days, which is 0.75 or 3/4 of 5 hours, which is either 3 hours or 3.5 hours, right? So you then write down for every lesson, every topic, whether it takes half a day, 3/4 of a day, or a whole day, or 2 days, whatever. You write it for all topics, for all subjects. Then you do a total of study hours, right? We saw how to do a summation. In this case, it is summation of cells C8 through C22. Then if you want to do compute by number of days instead of hours, you can actually take total number of study hours, which is C23, divide by C2. We use the backslash symbol for divide, okay? Divide by C2, which is C2 is the number of hours. That gives you 2.1 days. So this is the way to estimate your study hours, how you use for all subjects. Once you have that, we go to a new sheet, the study plan. In the study plan sheet, it is like a calendar, but instead of days, we can have days if we want, but days are too many, 30, 31 days per month. It is better to do it by week. Week is easier to capture. So in January, even though you have 31 days, we will just say we have 4 weeks per month for simplicity, because frequently when you do planning, If you plan for 30 days, sometimes you take 2 extra days because that's how it works. So we just pretend we have 4 weeks. If we get extra days, we'll use it up. December is already over, but if you had done it last week, you would add week 4 for December. Then January, we have added week 1 to week 2, week 3, week 4. And remember, for the January month on top, I merged 4 cells to create the January month. Same thing I've done for February. I've created 4 cells. I merged 4 cells to get one big cell. I did the same for each of the months. Then every column is 1 week. Now I have subjects in column A. For Tamil, you have to decide in week 1 of January. This is the first week. What are the lessons I'm going to study in the first week, right? So the same thing you can also apply for a tuition plan. I'm taking tuitions all of this next 3 months, let's say. Then what are the lessons that are being taught in the tuition? So then I enter it in week 1, what lessons were taught. Vinod, are you listening? Vinod? Okay, we have lost Vinod. We have lost quite a few. Oh, you're still there, Vinod?
It is any చేస్తేనే సరిగా ఉండదు.
It's all available. You can see it.
Okay, everybody please go on mute.
Start following here yourself.
Hello, everybody please go on mute. So if you're doing a study plan for Tamil, you would put the lessons you're going to cover in week 1, lessons in week 2. And then for a study plan, what you would do is whenever you finish that week 1 and you finish those lessons, you can color it as gray. This is finished. Once this is finished, I color it in gray. Once I finish the lessons in week 2, let's say I'm going to use accounts. No, science is better because I understand science. So molecules, I finished in week 1. In week 2, I finished polymers. In week 3, I finish, let's say, hydrocarbons, right? So now, since I finished these, I mark these off in gray color. Now, anything that is not in gray, I have not finished. So that's the way you can start tracking. It's always very good to have a goal. When you're actually planning, it gives you an idea of what goals to have and what goals to work towards. So this is the whole idea. This is a template for study planning and tuition planning. You can use the template, you can modify it, use your own subjects, add your own topics in there, and start capturing it. Do proper tuition planning, study planning. So this is pretty much the end of the program. The lecture on spreadsheets. We've covered a lot of topics. What spreadsheets are, what cells are, what tables are, rows, columns, how to use data inside, how to use arithmetic formula inside, how to do tables, how to color, how to merge cells, how to use different sheets, and how to have a template for a tuition plan or a study plan. Any questions, anybody? Now, briefly, I will very quickly take you to show you how to launch LibreOffice. And let's do the share screen from here. I'm sharing the desktop. So pretend this is your desktop computer, and you may have the Excel or spreadsheet application in your dock. For us, it is already in our dock. If it's not in your dock, you can go to the startup menu, and it will have an office option. In the office option, you can always go to the spreadsheet application. So what we are going to do for the purpose of this class is just click on spreadsheet. from the doc. We launch it. And this gives you pretty much all the same things. All the same things I showed you on Google Sheets. You can create tables, you can do coloring, you can insert charts, you can do text wrapping, unwrapping, you can do scientific computation, mathematical computation, you can do your study plan. The only difference is in this application, you have to save it. And of course, we are going to pretend we saved it and we are going to exit. Okay, so we stop sharing. Now we are back to here. So we are done with the lecture on spreadsheets.